Hey, Rush fans, this is John Kane, co-host and creator of the Two Guys Talking Rush podcast. I hope everybody's doing well and enjoying their summers. At the moment, Dan and I are sort of finishing out the summer, taking care of some personal business. And fortunately for you all, we have a really healthy pipeline of guests to serve up some good Rush content. Dan and I just want to say thank you to each and every one of you that have participated in our podcast on many levels through emails, guests, feedback. We really appreciate the positive vibes. Episodes 52 and 53 are here now, and we from time to time like to have superfan spotlight episodes where we talk to average fans like Dan and I who happen to love the band and explain our reasons why and participate in good healthy discourse and exchanges about our favorite band, Rush. So with that said, we have guests Reid Smith, we have Paul Beaulieu, and we have Dave Shingleton all the way from the UK joining us on Two Guys Talking Rush for our Superfan Spotlight, which was recorded back in April. I hope you enjoy it. We'll be back in the fall. We'll be back before the fall, but September, close enough. And we'll be hitting you up with some fresh new content and some more of that, of our favorite band, Rush. So kick back and enjoy Two Guys Talking Rush episodes 52 and 53. What can I say, folks? Rush rules. Yeah!
Hi, this is Paul Beaulieu, and you're listening to Two Guys Talking Rush.
Hi, this is Dave Shingleton. You're listening to Two Guys Talking Rush.
Hi, this is Reid Smith. I'm a Rush fan just like you, and I'm listening to Two Guys Talking Rush.
Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys talking rush. Two guys.
And now, get ready for the Two Guys Talking Rush podcast with your hosts, John Kane and Dan Buxton.
Hello.
Hey, at least we know somebody's listening out there.
Somebody.
Dan, for crying out.
Yeah. Absolutely. I heard. Didn't you say something like 15,000 downloads?
15,000. We're hitting 20,000 soon. Yeah. So. Working.
Are you? So I'm nervous now. I thought I've been nervous all day, but I'm not as nervous as I thought I'd be now.
No, do not be please do not be nervous.
I did enjoy. I only mentioned just to one friend that I was coming on this. If it goes well, I'll make sure lots of people watch or listen. But I said to him, "Oh yeah, they just had Billy Sheehan on the last episode, and now so I'm thinking, what do you want to talk to me for?" But I really appreciate it. It's kind of
I mean, I think you bring up a very good point about this show, is that Dan and I are just Rush fans like anybody else. We've been to the shows, we love the albums, and we're all we don't have the concert to go to anymore to meet everybody. So now we have to do this to connect. It's not like the Grateful Dead, or you could just go to the show and sort of immerse yourself in the culture. This is how we are immersing ourselves in the culture.
Absolutely.
Right? Yeah, totally.
It is, anyway. Of course, it's 8 p.m. here on a Friday. So
I was going to say it's a little early there for that. Yeah, right.
It's a half decent bottle of red in homage to the guys.
Okay. Here we go.
Right on.
My last name, Beaulieu Vineyards.
Hey, right on. And Reid Smith, how are you, Reid Smith? How are you, sir?
I'm doing well. Thanks for including me.
Of course. Yeah.
Absolutely.
why don't we go around and just introduce ourselves, starting with you, Paul, and tell us about yourself and who you are and all that.
Rush related or just in general, or
Both? Yeah, definitely Rush related. Yeah. So.
yeah. Well, I guess I've been a fan since 1975 when guitarist in my band came and took my Stampeders album off and put Fly By Night on it, and I've been a Rush fan ever since. As soon as I heard Anthem, I went, "What the fuck is this?" Compared to what I was listening to, then Best I Can, Beneath, and it just got better and better, and I've been hooked ever since. So that's how I started. First concert was in '76 when they came through North Bay. I used to live in North Bay, Ontario. So I don't know how many of you know the Toronto area. If you go north, the Trans-Canada Highway goes north out of Toronto and comes west from the east, and it meets in North Bay and then goes back out west. So the band stopped there a lot of times in the early days because it was, they'd get 2,000 or 3,000 in, and it was good money for them. So I was lucky right from the beginning. I've always had a chance to see them 1 or 2 times a year, right? So, and I was 14, and there was no seating back then, right? So you just got there early, and you sit there and drooled on Alex's pedals and stuff like that, and then when the show came on, you just became more in awe of these guys, how great they were, and there you go. So go stretch it many years out later. I've been involved with every Rush fan convention. I was sponsored and helped run every RushCon there was. I started Rush Fest Scotland with Steve Brown. We've been going since 2014. I've been to the 2 Rush fan reunions, and I've been to about 3 Yukon fan conventions. So pretty well, and my main aspect is just like Rush. Let's do it for have fun, but let's do charity. It's always key that I've always got Alex and Getty to sign lots of stuff for me to bring over and raise money for funds. So like the band, always believed in that. Just love them, period. That's it.
Yeah.
Nice.
And
Well,
I'm an IT guy, so I have a website called the Canadian Music Scene. I started up because I thought after Y2K, mainframes are going to go the way of the dodo bird. I better learn how to do this web stuff. And what did I know? Musician and all that stuff. So I started Canadian Music Scene. I'm a full media outlet. I get media passes. I cover the Juno Awards every year, the Canada Walk of Fame. Rush got their Governor General Performing Arts Award. I was only guy besides the actual government crew that was there that had a media pass to go and cover all that. So that was a great time. And Canada Soundwriters Hall of Fame, I covered that with the guys. He likes an art park. So after a while, they go, fuck, there's that guy again. Yeah. But in seriousness, I've known Alex for about 15, 16 years. We go golfing all the time.
Oh, cool.
Guitar and stuff like that. So it's a little more than just, they just laugh when they see me and go, yeah. They said, we used to have to go through Peggy to get, media passes. And when I got big enough, I always got them. So that's my whole Rush type of thing. I'm very involved with it, and IT stuff, of course, makes a living. And
it's amazing how one could love a band so much that it starts to define your life.
It does
some way, whether it's fashion or profession or a creative outlet. If you love something so much,
Toronto Sound Studio. There you go.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, I think, what you said, I think it was like 98% Rush stuff and 2% I'm an IT guy.
Yeah.
That was everything. It's not important.
IT's not important. Yeah. It's the bills, but
Yeah, but you didn't start out wanting to have a career in Rush. I mean, you sort of love the band so much, you're there, and it sort of personifies you, right? Right. Well, going around, Dave, tell us about yourself, man.
Oh, hi. First of all, just absolutely, seeing Rush in 1976. I mean, that would have been absolutely fantastic.
Exactly.
I mean,
yeah.
Black bag. This is this isn't a tour T-shirt, but it's it's a T-shirt with the old sort of double necks. I'm guessing around 77. So I'd have loved to have seen them in the mid 70s.
Oh, yeah.
Wow. But I did first get into Rush in about 84. I was 12, 13 at the time. A friend of mine from school, Richie Warburton. I think he spelt Richie with a T as well because he was a bit of a Blackmore fan.
Right.
He was a drummer, a great drummer, as Tap would say. Good image, and he introduced me to Rush through Exit Stage Left, which was I guess 2 or 3 years old in '84, about 3 years old. Yeah. So and I just loved it. I mean, and he of course, being a drummer, was listen to this drum solo first and foremost, and it was just incredible. And I was like, I think there's three people making this, this noise. It's amazing, and I've loved them sort of ever since. They've been my sort of favorite band ever since then, really. And when you, I must admit, when you asked me on the show, I was like, well, I'm not sure if I'm a super fan or not, to be honest. But then the more I thought about it, and I'm looking at, sort of at 20 odd t-shirts and vinyl and magazines from sort of 85, 86 that I've collected and kept over the years, and a few bits and bobs here and there. I was kind of thought, well, they're definitely my favorite band, and always have been ever since I first heard them, and they always will be. And I'm just they've just been a big part of my life, and a big part of a lot of my friends' lives, actually. They were popular. There was a small group of us that loved Rush, and everybody that likes Rush, I think, loves Rush, don't they?
Dave, where are you from?
I was going to say, where are you from, Dave?
Well, I'm originally from Bridgend in South Wales, not far from Rockfield, actually, which is another link. But I've lived in Reading, not Pennsylvania, but close, just 30 miles west of London, and I've lived here since 1982. And I guess Reading, you might know it from Reading Festival,
right?
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Foo Fighters have played there sort of 7 or 8 times, and I think Nirvana did a big show, a highly regarded show there in the early 90s, and it's
Sabbath. Did Sabbath play the Reading Festival with Ronnie?
With Ian Gillan singing.
With Ian Gillan.
Oh my goodness! Yeah. Well,
Born Again tour. Born Again. Yeah.
Yes, indeed. Two great singer, but possibly not the right environment with Sabbath. But of course, Gillan is sort of used to be fairly local. And you speculated, Dan, not long ago, Jimmy Page. Where does Jimmy Page live? He lives just down the road.
Oh,
in a small mansion just on the River Thames in a beautiful little village.
Wow.
And you see him from time to time, and he's very friendly. So that's where Jimmy Page lives, in a nice village just a couple of miles down the road.
It's nice to hear that Jimmy Page is not an asshole.
Yeah,
it's nice to hear that.
He's very, very approachable.
That's great. Yeah.
I actually invited him to my wedding. We had the Coverdale Page song as our wedding song. So I popped Take a Look at Yourself, I think it was, off the Coverdale Page album, and popped an invite through the letterbox. And anyway, he didn't come, which was a shame. But I saw him at a rival Sons concert a few years later, and I'd had way too much to drink, and I was just saying, Jimmy, you didn't make it. What's going on, mate? I mean, he doesn't know me from Adam, really. I
was busy that night.
But he was very friendly and very polite, and I think he's just a thoroughly decent bloke. And the last time I saw him, he was cycling along the towpath, looking fit and well. And
cool.
Yeah,
cool. I met Jimmy Page at a Robert Plant show, and we initially had the wrong seats, and then they moved us behind the audio console where the VIP section was, and he came walking down the aisle in this very small theater like a wizard, with the cloak, and he drifted down the aisle, and he sat down, and I probably broke my buddy's rib because I jabbed him so hard. I said, "It's Page," and I don't even remember the concert. I spent the whole night staring at him. Yeah. And I bent down and I said, "Mr. Page, may I shake your hand?" And he didn't want to be noticed, and but he still shook my hand. And then towards the end, I'm from Boston, so you just heard these blood-curdling Boston dialect screams like "Page," like they were going to rape him or something, and then he floated on out like the wizard he is, and then months later the No Quarter album came out, and the whole thing. But Coverdale Page, they're putting out, I think they're doing another album.
They are. No, they're doing a deluxe reissue, because I think it's like the 30th anniversary coming or something.
Yeah, cool.
That album I have always felt woefully underrated. Great album. They could have done more. They did
I saw
not.
that tour. That was a great tour and everything. Man. That was excellent. Yeah.
And love a bit of David Coverdale, of course. I mean,
Whitesnake rules. Love Whitesnake, man.
He's a great singer. I will say that to my dying day. I think he sounds fantastic. Not today. He sounds awful.
It's not as good.
No, not as good. But on those first like 6 Whitesnake albums.
Absolutely, yeah.
He's a true rock star, and just good. And dude, those Deep Purple albums are fabulous.
Yep.
Yeah, excellent stuff. Man.
I consider those early Whitesnake albums.
Yeah. The last time I saw Whitesnake, probably about 2015, and he absolutely nailed it for half an hour.
Good.
It was brilliant. Really good. But then he, there was the long guitar solo and then the long drum solo, and he was, playing catch up. But for 30 minutes, he absolutely nailed it. It was lovely to hear. But,
I have to say, if you are a Whitesnake fan and you love drumming, that you should just go watch Tommy Aldrich play drums, because he's the best, the most pioneering metal and rock drummer of all time, man. I mean, he's an effing legend, man. Tommy Aldrich, man. Yeah.
Absolutely.
I mean, of course, we're two guys talking Rush, two guys talking Whitesnake. Yeah. There it goes. Reid Smith, thanks for coming on, man. Tell us about yourself.
Thanks so much. My name is Reid Smith. I live in North Carolina, and all of you talk funny.
Yes, we do.
Thank you.
So that being said, we get that out of the way. I am 53 years old. I work as a graphic designer, and I do hand engraving on fine jewelry and gift items. And that's enough of all that. But I was introduced to Rush, I believe it was January of '82, when I was in the Boy Scouts, and we were gathering in a parking lot to get ready to head off on a winter trip. And there were these older guys who were musicians, and they were gathered around one of the guys' cars, and they had the doors open, and they were blaring this music, and they were all standing around playing air bass, air guitar, air drums, of course. And of course I was just in like it was the tractor beam, and started inquiring about it. And so they turned me on to Rush and Yes and AC/DC and Led Zeppelin. And I was kind of clueless before that time. But around the age of 12 or 13, I got turned on to Rush and have been all about it ever since. And I too do not consider myself the super fan, but in my world, I am, and in my brain, it's been such a part of who I am and growing up. And I can look at and listen to albums, and each one has a special place. When it comes to the rating time, let it just be said that I'm not going to block out any era of Rush. I am a Rush fan. If they put out an album of polka, I would probably enjoy it.
I would like that. Actually.
I would love to hear that, actually.
Well, actually, I think they did. It was called Rash, wasn't it?
Yeah, right.
But so, when it comes to that time, just know that they're not equivalent to my children, but they are wonderful, and I love them all. So
they did do a bit of polka when Alex the guitar didn't work in Boston.
Oh yeah.
Did you ever see that one where his guitar wouldn't play and they go bump?
Yes. I was at that show.
He did do a polka album. There you go.
That was fun. Yeah, there it is. Yeah, that was amazing. Yeah.
Reid, I want to push back the tiniest little bit on something that you said, where you said you are not a super fan.
Okay.
I don't agree with that. I think that all Rush fans, by definition, are super fans, because there is nobody who just likes a couple of songs. It doesn't exist.
Yeah.
And I know for myself, I love them with my whole heart. And every time I listen to their music, I just go there. I'm just transported every time. That's not normal for most music. That's just something that doesn't really happen with a lot of other music. So I mean, maybe what you mean is like you didn't see them 120 times or something like that.
That is what I was getting at.
But I'm sure in your
they have 80 shows. I think I have 13 under my belt, and all of those except for the very first one I attended with my cousin Chris, and he's been my best friend since we were 0, and that's been a special
That's a long time. Yeah.
Well, you can still be a broke super fan and not have afforded to go to that many shows.
That's
and then we often say, like, what makes a super fan? A tattoo of Rush on your forehead, or does that just make you stupid? It's one of those things. Like, what is a super fan? I think Rush is such an exclusive taste that it's like, it's an acquired taste of music that in order to really fully be whole with Rush, as Dan says, you really have to dig the nuances of every bits and as you say bits and bobs of Rush, right? So it's a special item, right? It's a specialty.
Yeah, absolutely.
It really is. It's not like anything else. Yeah, totally. So let me ask
Daniel,
you,
Daniel, it's funny you say that.
Go ahead, Paul.
I got when Rush got nominated for the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. We have two major stations, CBC and CTV, which go nationwide in Canada. So that's the big boys, right?
Right.
You have NBC, that's like our NBC, CBC, and they want to interview a Rush fan. But hey, these guys getting nominated. Well, Peggy, being a friend, said, "Well, go with this guy in Oakville, and you get interviews there." And one of my statements is, I said exactly that. I said, "There's no part-time Rush fans."
Right. Yeah.
You know what? And the head guy who runs, he's the main host of the news at night at 11 o'clock. Loved that. He goes, and Paul Beaulieu from Oakville says there's no part-time Rush fans. And he goes, I agree with that. So that was pretty cool. And that's the way it is. There are no part-time Rush fans. You either don't like Rush, pardon those people, or everything's Rush, right?
You're in the boat or you're out of the boat.
Exactly.
Honestly, that's how I think it is. And there's no middle ground with them. Because also you'll agree, people who don't like Rush really, really, really don't like them.
Oh, yeah.
Where the rest of us, we love them. That's and like I said before, they've transported us to magical places in our imagination and that sort of thing. It's not a normal fandom. It's because they're not a normal band. They were this very unique thing. And you get it or you don't, on or off.
Remember the first Christmas my wife and I spent together. We're gathered there. It's just the two of us Christmas morning, and she gives me two gifts, and she emphasizes that these two gifts go together. One of them was a Rush CD, and the other was a pair of headphones.
Wow.
And so she was not having it.
Yeah,
that's funny.
Are you divorced?
Going around the panel, springboarding off of what we're talking about here. So what does Rush mean to you? And let's start this with Dave. Like, we love this band, and we probably love this band for all sorts of different reasons, some similar, some not. Mostly I ask this question because, there's a certain point in my life where, I was at some sort of crossroad, as cliche as that sounds, and, self-discovery, learning more about myself. And then, of course, you're met with these powerful lyrics, and chances are some of them touched you in some way. Is that what Rush is to you? I mean, what does Rush mean to you, Dave, as a listener and as a fan?
Well, they've just been sort of companions, really. Since, as I mentioned, early teens, and there's just stuff always just seems to happen around them. I went to New York to see Rush on the Vapor Trails tour. Hadn't seen them since '92 because they hadn't been back to the UK since then. Of course, they had the hiatus with the awful business with Neil's family. And I was looking at the is it the national debt that's displayed in New York?
Yes, yeah, the debt clock.
And the 2112 was there. I got a photo of it somewhere.
Wow.
And it's like, well, we're going to see Rush on the Vapor Trails tour. The national debt is 2112 something, trillion, gazillion, or whatever, and so. They've just always been there. We went to the show. The next day, we loved the show as it happened. The next day, we went to see Thin Lizzy at Lemoore.
Wow.
In Brooklyn.
Nice.
Wow. Looking for women in dresses two sizes too tight, as Typo Negative would say. And
I met I met my wife at a Typo Negative show, man. It's funny. Dan and I are huge Typo Negative fans.
Yeah, actually.
Yeah.
And
We love
I
Typo
saw,
Negative.
we saw Lizzie. It was John Sykes' Lizzie with Tommy Aldridge drumming, actually, I believe.
Oh, okay.
Nice.
And it was a great show. But during it, there was a girl there reading Peart's book Ghost Rider at the bar. And I said, and so I approached her and I said, "Well, you're reading Neil Peart's book," and she's like enthusing, she said he writes like Hemingway, and all this sort of thing. And I was like, "Well, I haven't read any Hemingway, but I hear he's very good." So we got chatting, and her friend was there as well, and my best friend Steve ended up marrying this girl's best friend Dolores. They were huge Rush fans. And they're still married now, living in New York. What is it? 19 years on from that first meeting. Yeah. So it's just things seem to happen around, Rush. Yeah.
I have to say,
it's all interwoven into my sort of whole life, really.
Right.
It's difficult to extract yourself at times.
Yeah.
I have to say that I saw Typo Negative a few times when they were active. Very little reading going on in the audience at that time.
Maybe none.
Yeah, not much of that going on. I have to
maybe in the bathroom wall or something.
No, not a popular activity. It seems like.
No, indeed.
That's crazy though. That's.
Yeah,
I mean, what are the chances of that happening? That's funny.
Absolutely, yeah. Just incredible, and all sorts of little things that happen like that, throughout your life, really. I mean, that's a major one, obviously, a life-changing event for my friend, But
cool.
Yeah.
Well, Reid, tell us, what does Rush mean to you? Why Rush, man? What is it?
Well, first, I find it hard to question why. It's like they've been such a part of my growing up, at least from my early teens, that I almost feel like they're just part of my DNA, and it's just there, and I can't explain it. And as Dave was speaking, I thought about some lyrics that touched me. Different times things will touch you in different ways. Something you could have heard 50,000 times, will touch you in a fresh way. But I remembered one time, it was maybe around 11th grade, I was listening to the Permanent Waves album, and the song Different Strings touched me in a way when there was some difficulty I was having with a girlfriend and wasn't sure we were, compatible, and, as much as you can be intelligent about a relationship at 17 years old. But I remember the line, the spaces in between leave room for you and I to grow.
Great song.
So there are just many little things in there that, in their music that have touched me at different times and have grown with me. And by tuning into the lyrics and the music, have made me feel smarter than I typically see myself, even in trying to tap along with correctly with a piece of complicated music. It's just something that I just get so excited. It's beyond explanation, really, I feel. But I could just say that I love it, and I'm glad that I'm in this safe place with you guys. Right?
Yes.
Well, I guess I never asked this question very much, but Reid, who's your second favorite band? I mean, it's kind of we should probably ask that question more, Dan. But do you have a second favorite band? Is there another band that you just kind of go to besides Rush?
Well, I would, in my late teens, early 20s, I would probably say U2, but that ended about 87.
Yeah.
All right, I'm done with you guys, because they sound like Coldplay now.
No. I want to say something here, but Dan, think about that question, because that sort of positions, we can understand the Rush fan better if we ask them who their second.
Who else do you like? Yeah,
I
exactly.
would say John Coltrane.
Interesting.
Huh.
Oh.
Okay.
Dave, who's your second favorite band, quickly, before we get to Paul?
I'd say probably anything with Dio in it, from
Nice.
about
Good answer.
He went on the most incredible run from Rainbow Rising. You could argue the album before that was pretty good. From Rising through to Dio, The Last in Line. Yeah. I think he had 6 absolutely incredible albums. Rising, Long Live Rock and Roll, Heaven and Hell, Mob Rules, Holy Diver, The Last in Line.
Sacred Heart gets overlooked a lot. That's a great album.
Not too bad actually. I love Vivian Campbell as well. So some great stuff.
But those 6 albums, that's
just amazing. I mean, talk about a streak. I mean, that is just incredible. So I'd say Dio. Yeah. And I was lucky enough to see him play in 2005, I think it was, playing the whole of Holy Diver with, I think, Doug Aldrich on guitar. Wow. Who was fantastic, and Doug Aldrich has been one of my favorite guitarists ever since. Nice. Up until recently. Is he with the Dead Daisies now? I think he might.
I don't know.
He's a great player. Did some great work with David Coverdale.
I saw Dio on the Master of the Moon. I think that was in 2004, and he was with Craig Goldie on that. So I didn't.
You got a hole in the
glass. But Paul, why Rush for you before you get really drunk?
Yeah, well, I'm just starting.
He's like, well, this is.
Hold on, I got to put this bottle down, and I'll answer quickly your other band one.
Yeah.
In mid '80s, I was really into the electro, like the OMD, Ultravox, Visage.
Cool.
I love that stuff. I couldn't get enough of that. Like, it's either that or Rush. And the latter nowadays, now that they're not playing anymore, there's 2 bands in Canada called Big Wreck and Tea Party. Love them. I see them now as much as I would have seen Rush.
I love the Tea Party, and that one album, Edges of Twilight, was a total game changer for me. And I started incorporating a lot of Eastern stuff into my own music because of that album specifically.
They have a heavily East Indian influence in a way. Great band. And then recently, which is really funny, because of Rush fans, I got over to Porcupine Tree. And Steve Wilson, who I fucking love. I really just his new album. Okay, got a reserve judgment of that. And Dream Theater, who I never was a fan before, but now I'm just freaking addicted.
They're really good.
Yeah. So that's into that stuff. But Rush, for me, Rush is like it's always been everything. Like, I mean, I played in a band at the time when I heard Rush, and we just stopped everything we're doing, and that's became everything. It was kind of learned. A Rush album comes in, I just look at my parents, so I'll see you in a month. Because I'm going out and putting the headphones on. Actually, we were playing in a band, so I had my friend's 2 4x12 cabinets right beside my ears, and I ran the CDs or the records back then through his amps, right? So I could hear it and still play it live to it. And so that just became, and the thing I loved about Rush is that for 40 plus years, we knew a new album was going to come out. It was going to be fucking great. We knew a show was going to come out. Howard and the boys made sure that was going to be great. And they never disappointed. They just never disappointed. We were always going to have something to look forward to coming down the line. On that night in LA when Neil came out front, I knew it was over. And going to cry now thinking about it, right? And that was like one of the worst nights of my life, right? I was happy to be there, but also sad because I knew that was it, right? And the last time we're going to see him. So that's the best thing to me. It's like everything I listen to every day pretty well. Yep.
Yeah, same here. Well, listen, I mean, no. Thank you so much. I mean, this is it. But I remember thinking those thoughts with every new Rush album. You could always anticipate a tour, and then even with the music, you always thought to yourself, "Oh, I can't wait to find out and hear what they did new on this album. How did they approach the music this time?" You never thought, as Rush is sort of this formula band where they just have this set way, this set sound, and then there it was. It was always a new presentation. They always took chances. It always sounded different in some way. I know you guys are all diehard fans, and Reid, you said it yourself. I love every Rush song and album equally and all this, but did any of Rush's music ever kind of just say, I don't love this as much? I mean, I can openly, honestly say I didn't love all of Test for Echo. There's several tracks on there I absolutely love, but I felt as though it was probably that one album that I really couldn't glom onto like I did.
Dog Years wasn't a star.
I didn't love that song. Yeah. I mean, it's quirky and whimsical and the writing is fun, but I would say Test for Echo for me was probably, I I'm probably going to get a lot of hate mail for this. There's a test for echo. Somebody with the tattoo up down on their arm. But was there anything in Rush's catalog that you're just like, I didn't love it? The 80s stuff gets kind of panned a lot, and I love the 80s stuff. What about you, Dave? Anything? Or Reid, you were going to say something?
Yeah, I have so many good memories with each era that I can't just cast one aside. Although I was kind of I was heavily into, being a present father at the time that Test for Echo was out, and that one kind of got by me for a couple of years before I started listening to it again, or before I really discovered it, because I was kind of out of the loop at that point. But and I'd say, okay, some of the writing may have been weaker, but I'm again such a fan. I wanted to hold on and see what they had for me. See what did they want to say? What are they doing? I've appreciated their artistry, and I'm not just going to cast it aside. I almost feel like they were friends that you should sit down and be patient and listen to.
Mm-hmm. Good way of putting it.
Yeah. On the subject of being patient, I remember when Hold Your Fire came out, I struggled a little with that at first. The sound was a little thin for my liking. I mean, I'm a rocker, the 70s stuff is my favorite. I like, big guitars, fat guitars and stuff. So I was kind of, I'm not sure I like this record all that much, but I was so into the band that I had one of those old record players that used to repeat play the LP.
Oh yeah.
The LP.
Yeah.
So I remember going to sleep with Hold Your Fire, playing the side A, and then the next night side B. So I'd be sleeping through however many however many 20 minutes you can fit into 8 hours sleep or whatever. So I'd wake up having listened to Hold Your Fire side A 20 times or whatever it is, and I sort of almost I learned to love that record in the end. I really did.
Yeah.
And
I love that album myself.
Morning you start singing Taishan. I don't know why, but you're singing it. Right?
Getty even says he doesn't like that song, so we can't get into too much trouble.
You know what? People fan it all the time, but it's not my favorite. But I can listen to it. It doesn't.
Yeah.
It's not when I'm going to get up. I got to turn that off. What I mean? But if it comes on, I listen to it. Time Stand Still. What a great song that is off that album, right? I mean,
which one, Paul?
Time Stand Still, especially now,
of course,
as we're getting older. Like those lyrics
beautiful.
Are so spot on. They're just like
absolutely.
Yeah.
I mean, I think my only problem with that song is the video.
I will call it. Their videos are awful. Their videos terrible.
There's one with the little guy right.
Hey, here's Amy Man.
And there you have it, folks.
There's always you can always find something good, I think, in everything they've done.
Yeah,
there's always going to be, even in songs that you don't necessarily like that much, there'll be a lick or an arpeggio or a melody where you just think, they've hit the sweet spot there. Even though I don't like the song that much, there's always something that's good.
Yeah.
I think in everything they've done, I think actually, always find something.
Yeah. What about you, Paul? Any? You just love all Rush, and that's it. That's the end of it, or is it?
For me, the period, from like 2112 just raised them, right, and it was just wow, when you hear that, and that's when I was living at North Bay, so they come and they play in that stage, and I'm right in front. Literally, like, there was no barriers back then. I literally could have unplugged Alex's guitar, so I thought close to her. And you're sitting there looking up, and it's kind of like I've got it here, right? So you're sitting there looking at this, right? What they're playing. You're sitting there going, holy fuck, right? So so then I said, how are they going to beat that? And the Farewell Kings came out, and I went, holy shit! It looks like we're here. Now we're up here. What can they do that? Hemisphere. Okay, we'll keep going. Permanent ways. And they just kept on going, right? I just went, holy shit. That's when you slid like YYZ or La Villa Strangiata. Those are just like, okay, you think you're good, but fucking try to play this, right? It's like, that's, and then they adapt it, like with the Police and stuff like that. They got a little bit more that's what I loved about them. They always seemed to be able to play, but fit themselves into something that was fairly popular at that time, but still Rush. You know what I mean? That's what I love. Though I don't really have a song that I dislike that much. I mean, there's none of my CDs are collecting dust. You know, they all get played. But you know, when I really need something, like you know, I like to go back to, like you say, like Xanadu or Farewell to Kings and stuff like. But I also, that's the time when I was playing a lot of Rush, so I think those songs are ingrained in my head. When you play them 200 times like they did, well, they played thousands of times, but I mean, a song becomes in your head, and I find like it relaxes me. Like I don't get wound up, or I don't get whatever, but it's nice every once in a while to just you put on a Rush album and relax. You feel safe. You know what I mean? It's a safety to listening to Rush and knowing, yeah, great, right?
One of the most amazing things about Rush is there are certain albums that sort of encapsulate a time period in my life, and you know, I can think of Roll the Bones. I mean, it brings me back to right where I was when I was listening to that album. The same thing with Counterparts. An album which I absolutely love, and I think is often overlooked for its mastery. I mean, it's really a fantastic album, and it just puts me right back when I was in college, you know, Counterparts. But you know, that's the thing about Rush is there's so much of it that we have a lot to play with. We can just pick an album out that we haven't listened to in a year or a couple of years or whatever, and say, oh yeah, we can really dig deep get back into it, and none of it gets overused. You know, with that much material, it doesn't get beaten down. Like Zeppelin, I mean, I love Led Zeppelin, but what do they have, like 82 songs in their entire catalog, and one can only listen to Stairway to Heaven. So however, Stairway to Heaven does get panned a lot. I think it's probably one of the most brilliant pop songs or rock and roll songs ever written, and
fantastic guitar solo.
Well, yes. It's got classical music, it's got pop music, it's got rock and roll, it's got folk. I mean, it sort of is.
What's wrong with it? The one thing that's wrong with it is it got completely overplayed. That's what's wrong with it. And there's so much music that is, you know, absolutely artistically worthwhile, excellent, but I heard it too many times. You know, and that doesn't that doesn't take away from what you're saying.
And for that, it starts to define its legacy as a song that gets played too much. And then you forget about it, then you go back to it, and you're like, whoa, this thing is unbelievable. Like, I can't remember the last time I listened to Stairway to Heaven. But if it comes on the radio now, I mean, I force myself not to listen to something, and then that forces me to revisit it with fresh eyes and fresh analysis, you know, and Stairway to Heaven's a good example of that. I mean, there are songs in the Rush catalog I sort of reserve for later that I don't need to hear as much. One of which is Tom Sawyer. I mean, it is a masterpiece of a song.
Yeah.
You know, I've listened to it so much. I hear it so much. And the reason why is because that's sort of the lure to the new Rush fan. So many people say they get first introduced into Rush by Tom Sawyer. Rightly so. It's an incredible body of work as a song, related to a song. You know, the drums, the guitar, the lyrics. It's got this odd time signature. It's big. It's powerful. But for me, it's like Stairway to Heaven. You know, I need to reserve it and save it so I don't get beaten down by Tom Sawyer. Any songs
goes like miles deep from there.
Yeah. What about you guys? Any songs by Rush that you feel as though you need to kind of push away for a while, or is there anything?
Well, like Tom Sawyer, like you're saying, is kind of any of the ones that have been on the radio all the time, Spirit of Radio, all that stuff.
Yeah.
I love them. They're all fantastic. But like you said, you just hear them. On January 7th, I drove down to Lakeside Park just to celebrate Neil's passing, and I put on Caress of Steel. Holy fuck, that's a great album. It's unbelievable. Like when you listen to it and you haven't, and I've been by myself in the car, and I've got it cranked. I don't even have the engine on. I've got it so loud. I'm going down the road by the pulse of the music, right? You know, it's so heavy to the da 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 da, and then that drum solo, and then how fast he was so young and so fast back then.
I know.
But I re-listened to that and I go, what a great album. You know, to me anyway. I liked every part of it. You know, and the lyrics too. The wandering body, my heart will grieve, or something like that. And it's like, wow, cool stuff like that, right?
Panacea, beautiful.
Great. Sorry, go ahead. Yeah.
No, I was just saying the lyrics from Panacea there. Yeah.
You know, the whole thing, you know, and then the Fountain of Lameth, all that stuff. And even Lakeside Park just as I pull in, right?
I often imagine that Lakeside Park has a parking lot full of Rush fans like you.
You know what? We were kind of in a lockdown, so I shouldn't have been there.
Yeah.
But I was the only one there. I was had to say. So I got out and I walked around the beach and the Weeping Willows, the pier, and unfortunately the merry-go-round was all closed up for the season. But I've been there many times, and it's cool, and it's amazing. People to come over to Canada and they get introduced to me, and I'll take them down there all the time. I got no problem with that, right? And it's kind of like a mecca, for Rush fans. People they want to go down and see that, right? And I never get tired of it. And then I'll take them. I'll go show them where Neil's house was, where he had the barn, and for Red Barchetta and all that stuff, right?
Cool.
Now it's a guy raising emus. There's actually a whole bunch of emus there, right? So and so it's pretty funny. But
that's hilarious. Wow.
Yeah.
I went to
one I haven't heard in a long time. I went, wow. Yeah.
Dave, what were you going to say?
So I visited Toronto in the mid-90s, and I went out onto Lake Ontario, and I thought of the song Lakeside Park, but it was only recently that I realised that Lakeside Park is also on Lake Ontario.
Yep.
To the south. I didn't realise that, but I thought, well,
southwest. Yeah.
There must be something occurring. So yeah, and also the only other thing, thinking of Lakeside Park, is the last time I saw Rush was on the 24th of May.
Wow.
2013.
Oh wow.
Nice.
I'm always going to regret not seeing them in 2015 because I did have opportunities to. A friend of mine was suggested going to Vegas. And also the friend I was talking about earlier on, Steve, who lives in Brooklyn, he actually went to the Forum show that you went to, Paul. The last show.
Madison Square Gardens, yeah.
So yes, he went to the Forum in Los Angeles.
Yeah.
And of course, then he realised, as did we all, when Neil came out, as you mentioned, that was probably going to be it. And I was absolutely convinced in 2015 that they would come over and tour the UK again, because they had so frequently from 2004 onwards. So I really regret not going to the States to see them in 2015. But the consolation is the last show was 24th of May at the O2 in London, and it was a great show. I'll get over it.
Russia.
Sorry, Dave, did you see the shows for the R30 tour in the UK? Any of those?
Yes, I saw. By that time, as I said, when we went over to New York in 2002, I hadn't seen Rush for 10 years.
Yeah,
because they simply hadn't toured the UK since Roll the Bones. So then, obviously, we thought they might not ever come back. So we thought, right, we'll go and see them in New York. And then, of course, they came over several times after that in 04, 08, 11 and 13. So I went to see them multiple times in the UK whenever they came over, always at Wembley, twice.
Wow. Yeah, and then often I did the two in Wembley. I did the whole 6 shows on R30 tour in the UK. Yeah.
Oh, fantastic. Well, I was, that's brilliant. I love it. I was at the two Wembley shows in Birmingham as well. Sorry?
Yeah, the band Stereophonics from Wales.
Absolutely, yeah.
Yeah, well, I sat for the 2 Wembley shows with Stuart Cable. Yeah,
funny enough, I bumped into Stuart Cable at the R30 show.
So you would have saw
me. He was with James Dean Bradfield from the Manic Street Preachers, and I had a chat with them about. I think there was a Welsh football or soccer, you'd call it. There was a Welsh soccer match on that night, and we exchanged ideas about Welsh soccer, and which is unusual because we're mostly into rugby, but there we are. Well, that's funny. Fantastic! You came over for all 6 shows.
We met before, and you didn't know it.
Absolutely,
I was standing with them at that time.
Absolutely.
Well, this is the.
Sorry, guys, indulge us. Well, we'll get back to you guys. Sorry. Yeah.
Well, no. This is the great thing about having this podcast and meeting people from all over. Is we have someone from Canada, someone from the UK. Someone from the United States. We can all kind of get together and find these similarities within each other's cultures and social engagements and all that. Reid, question for you. I'm a graphic designer. I teach design at a local college here in New Hampshire, and I love, one of the things I most love about Rush was their sort of design and their aesthetic to their visual treatment, both in the concert arena but also in their album covers. Reid, do you have a favorite album cover? I'll ask this of everybody, but do you have a favorite album design? Hugh Syme, of course.
I think since I went to Hugh Syme's website and looked at his gallery of work and saw all the album covers without the typography on them, and seeing the
art,
the unfolded, I think the Hemispheres cover or Hemispheres art, it may be my favorite. And it was so interesting to see that without the typography, without it being folded into a square album cover.
Yeah.
In fact, don't tell him, but I stole that image right there from his website.
Presto. That's from the Presto album.
Yeah, I ran it through the flatbed printer at work, and so I have a canvas on my wall, one of a kind. So
nice.
Don't come looking for any money, Hugh. But anyway, I love it. Oh, the Vapor Trails cover.
I was going to say it's one of my favorites.
That painterly,
beautiful.
With the on the backside of the album there was a dragon, which is lost in the fold when they put it in a square format. But I love they're all very interesting. The composition of the permanent waves, photo composite.
I love that.
Just unreal.
Beautiful stuff. Yeah. What about you, Dave? Any favorites album cover as far as album covers are concerned? One for
I like
me.
Permanent Waves as well, really.
Yeah.
Right, but I think maybe 2112. I like the simplicity of it, and it's
One for
and
me.
It's one of my favorite albums as well. So that
I think it's like no album to me defines Rush like Fly By Night, that big snowy owl that's representation of the cold white north, like this Rush, owl, I just love that so much. It's so punctuating. What about you, Paul? What's your favorite album cover by Rush?
Wow, that's a good one.
There it is.
Yeah, moving pictures, but I have to go with this one only because
beautiful.
Wow.
So Charlie is a Scottish guy. He saw a picture of Neil and did this.
Nice.
Paul Tippett from Danforth and Pape came up with the background, and then I sent it down to Hugh, and Hugh said, "Well, we got to put this on," and the dog looking up at Neil, right? So this part is from these two parts are from Neil, from Charlie Roy, and this is the album which we've raised almost $9,000 for charity. This is Tippett too, with the little thing in the Neil sticks. We have a T-shirt for that too. I'm not saying that's my favorite. I'm just promoting that one, but that's one I got to work with, and I got to see the genius of Hugh. He's just
well, Paul, we promoted the hell out of that.
I remember
on the show, and
when you guys sent me an email, I said Mark Keane or John Keane, sorry, and I said, Steve, do you know John Keane? He goes, guys I did interview with. I went, I felt so stupid. I went, yeah, okay, great, yeah.
Nice.
So I appreciate you guys having me on there. And
of course. So do you have a favorite Rush album aside from the one you're promoting?
I have Permanent Waves. Yeah,
Permanent Waves.
Everything that's on there, all the little subtleties and all that stuff that are on it.
Good.
Ooh la la with the wave and her skirt coming up. Standing there by the sign, you don't cross, and all that type of stuff. It's just pretty neat how he did all that stuff in there, right?
Yeah, it's a good one. Yeah. Well, listen, this year is the 40. Dan and I talk often about how sort of underwhelming it has been with regard to the celebration of the 40th anniversary of probably one of the most defining rock albums of all time, which is Moving Pictures.
Yeah.
So that's sort of a conundrum, but it not to cast any negativity on any sort of hoopla that should have been behind that sort of thing. However,
or that may still be behind it.
Yeah, whatever.
Maybe.
I mean, we have the platform, therefore we are in control of what we
true.
Do, celebrate things. So
promoting it big time, right? I'll put it on my site. You tell me what to put on there. I'll promote with you guys, right?
All good, man. All good. So I thought having a fan panel like this, which we do often, we have notable guests on the show. We also like to kind of go back and talk to fans and just reground ourselves as to why Rush is so amazing, because of their fans, their loyal fans. And Moving Pictures, like it or not, is a defining album, whether you're inside the Rush camp or outside. If you're a musician and you don't like Rush, it's hard to not recognize such a prolific album for its musicianship, its writing. Again, it's defining this pivotal moment in time for the band and for the music scene. So with that, with this panel, Dan and I asked of you a few questions. One was to rate your favorite songs on the album. There are only 7, to rate them from 7 being the least that you like, all the way to number 1. Your favorite solo on what you consider the best guitar solo on the album. And then I think there was another question here somewhere.
Favorite lyric.
Favorite lyric. Favorite lyric, yes. And then we have general questions like your favorite, your top 5 albums in the entire catalog, and so forth. So why don't we start with you, Reid, with those 3 questions.
Okay.
The rating of your favorite songs on Moving Pictures, your favorite solo and favorite lyric, and why. So go for it.
Well, first of all, thank you for giving us a heads up. If you'd asked me on the spot, I would do that for all of the time.
Of course.
So thank you for that. And also, I saw the email as soon as I woke up this morning, had the day off. And so I said, well, I'll be listening to Moving Pictures this morning. So I actually listened to Moving Pictures, and I watched the documentary on the making of the album, as well as 2112.
Did your homework.
Yes. So anyway, to answer your questions, and here again, I love them all, but if you got to rate them, here's a list, and this one's mine.
Okay.
Number 7, I would say, was Witch Hunt. 6, Vital Signs. 5, Limelight. 4, Red Barchetta. 3, Tom Sawyer. 2, YYZ. And number 1 for me was the Camera Eye. Camera Eye, I remember absolutely freaking out when they played that live, when they played the Moving Pictures in its entirety, that tour. I believe it was in 2010.
Yeah, Time Machine tour. Yeah.
Being particularly excited. It's always been a favorite. I think it's kind of got everything. It's got, nice melodicness in the verses. It's got the build from the almost no sound. It's got wonderful, crescendo and just building of the song and complexity and the repetitive groove and all that. So it's always been a favorite of mine. So I ended saying Camera Eye was actually my number 1 off it. The solo that I thought was the standout, and here again, I'm not sure if I'm able to speak non-biased, but I think my entry into Rush was hearing Tom Sawyer. And I still think that solo is very uniquely phrased. It was like, nobody plays like that.
Yeah.
That was like something you're going, that dude's doing some new stuff. I mean, it still feels really fresh to me. But the phrasing, the time changes in there were just so, just what the heck? I'm still perplexed and just drawn to it. And I think part of that, especially in my early teens, I think that gave me permission to be weird and different in kind of a way, that I felt like, okay, unique and strange and out of the box can be awesome. So I think I'm, maybe derived a little juice from that somehow.
Nice.
And a lyric that it actually stood out to me today. I can't say that there's one that over the past 40 years of loving that album that stood out to me. I'd say honorable mention would be he knows changes aren't permanent, but change is. I do love that line, but the one that struck me extra hard this morning that speaks to me in now as well as in other times of life when you felt a little maybe inadequate or, just kind of unsure of a situation, but you're trying to be brave, put on your brave face. It was from Limelight. It said, cast in this unlikely role, ill-equipped to act. Feeling, under the gun, and I got to make something happen here. It's kind of up to me. It's been thrust upon me, and what am I going to do? And I know that I'm not experiencing the same feelings that Neil was pointing at.
Yeah.
In that song, but that spoke to me in that way.
Awesome. And quickly, your top 5 Rush albums.
Oh, the top 5 albums. Again, thank you for giving us a hit. Yes. Right. Are there any other albums? And this goes back.
I know this could change. You could tell us now, and then next week it could change, right? I mean,
yeah, and it's so great. And I have grown and loved every bit of it, but it does seem that like there's one chunk of time that's speaking to me, and I think that's because those are some of the first that I was drawn to. So my and Delightful Dan, thank you very much for making sure that live albums were included.
Yes.
I was going to mention that
because that helped me.
Cheating.
Because that helped me out of a little conundrum here. My number 5 was 2112, and then I thought live albums count. So the entirety of 2112 was included on Different Stages, and Different Stages, I think, was an incredible. It had an early Rush set, and it had just a huge span of material over their career.
Analog Kid on that is incredible.
Yeah. I mean, and I think Geddy's voice was tip top at that. Even though he took some really interesting alternate notes on some of those really high screechy early stuff, 2112, I thought it was brilliantly done, and I thought that was a good way to kind of get out of.
You found a loophole.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. So, all right. So that was number 5. Different Stages was number 5. Number 4, Farewell to Kings. 3, Permanent Waves. 2, Hemispheres. And number 1's Moving Pictures.
Very good.
Thank you very much. Good job.
Thank you, guys.
I would like to add also, nothing any of you guys say here on this show is legally binding. So if this changes tomorrow, that's okay. This is just as of this moment right now.
So it's okay for me to listen to Clockwork Angels later?
You are permitted to listen to it later. Yes.
Good.
However, it lives on episode, whatever. We don't know what episode is going to play in the future, but it will live on the episode anyway. Yes. Dan, Dave, what about you?
Guys are talking, brush 2 guys. 2 guys are talking, brush 2 guys are talking, brush 2 guys. 2 guys are talking, brush 2 guys.
Stay tuned for part 2 of the 2 Guys Talking Rush podcast next week.